Here's a list of ways that Francesca's storyline can still work just the way it did in the book, even with the gender-swapped character. And if you haven't read the book and you don't want to be spoiled, scroll away now. Issue number 1. Michael gets malaria in the book, and this is a major plot point as he struggles with it, and Francesca helps nurse him back to health, and they deal with it together, and it's a worry about when it's going to come back or if it's going to come back. Well, I have brilliant news. Women can also get malaria. So, woohoo! Issue number 2. Michael slept around a lot in the book, and this was mainly because he was trying to forget about his love for Francesca, so he became a rake and slept around just to forget about her. And while Bridgerton has seemingly made it seem like men are rakes and women only sleep with men if they are their next true loves, thankfully, this isn't the case. Women can still sleep around. This one isn't really an issue, more of an add-on to the malaria thing, but Michael goes to India for quite a while to get away after John dies, and he's dealing with his grief, and he needs to just, be away from the whole country and the whole world and just deal with his grief on his own. And thankfully, the show has already actually created a direct link to India. So we could still get Michaela running off to India for a while to deal with her grief. Issue number 3, and this is the major issue that most people are bringing up with regards to the gender swap, and that is the infertility issue. Francesca's book is the only book in the Bridgerton series where a woman experiences fertility issues. A major part of the reasoning Francesca has for wanting to get remarried is because she wants to have children, and she wonders if she just couldn't have children with John, or if it's a her problem, and so she wants to get married because she wants to start a family. And this is an incredibly important issue, especially on a show that depicts so many pregnancies and so many families and big families. You want to portray the different types of pregnancies as much as you can because it speaks to a lot of women, and a lot of women have these issues, and it's important stories that need to be told. But there are 2 things I want to say on this, and the first one is that there are other characters that could have fertility issues. It doesn't just have to be Francesca like it was in the books. We could actually expand it into other characters within the world and explore it through their eyes. And the second thing is, Francesca can still have fertility issues. She is still married to John. She still wants to start a family. Potentially, we don't actually know what show Francesca wants, but she can still want to start a family with John and still struggle with that. And even if it develops into a same-sex relationship with Michaela, women who are queer can still have fertility issues. They can still struggle with pregnancies. They can still struggle with wanting to have a family, but not having the means to create one. Issue number 4. This means that she never loved John. I've been trying very hard to not read these statements as being completely dismissive of bisexual people, but even if Francesca is fully a lesbian and fully has no actual sexual attraction to men, she can still love a man. Because you can love someone without it being inherently sexual, and that also means that Bridgerton has the potential to maybe explore the Arrow and Ace spectrum. Some other things that wouldn't have to change, their shared grief. This was a major theme throughout the entire book, was the fact that Francesca and Michael both felt such immense grief and guilt for John's death. And thankfully, gay people still feel emotions, so that will still be present. They can also crave each other, but know that it is inherently wrong. And them being queer adds another layer to this. Because Michael and Francesca wanted each other, and they loved each other, but they knew that it was wrong. And if that isn't the gayest thing I've ever heard, then I don't know what is. And a final thing is that if they do follow the story of Francesca's book, it actually leads a path for a potentially happy ending. Because Michael and Francesca in the book wanted to be removed from society. They wanted to be in the middle of nowhere with just themselves and just their little family that they could hopefully create. And Michaela and Francesca as a queer couple couldn't be in the center of society. They would need to be a bit more removed, and it just so happens that they both seem to would want that anyway. This can be a happy story. It can be told very well, and it can still have the heart of the book. We've got to stop jumping the gun before it's even loaded. And if all of that is staying the same, if all of that can stay the same, and we can actually still keep the main plot of the book, and the only thing that's changing is that Michael is no longer a man, do you know how many men we have? Do you know how many heterosexual relationships we've seen? A lot. A lot of men. A lot of heterosexual couples. Let the queer community have one. One that, I will remind you, will not change the plot. Sorry if I got heated. Change isn't bad, guys. Change can be for the good, and we have to remember that.